Hello educators, welcome back to Edu Elevate Network. When we move to a new country to teach, we usually spend our time studying the curriculum, the grading software, the school policies and much more. But what happens when you do everything by the book and you still feel like you're not doing enough just to get to the expectations? Yani unafanya everything unajua na bado unaona tu kuna kitu kana miss. Often the biggest challenges aren't the rules written in the employee handbook. Those ones you read, you understand, and you follow, right? But there is this unwritten rules, not written anywhere. The unwritten rules of culture is just there. Today, we are discussing a phenomenon many international teachers face, realizing that the behaviors we once saw as respect might mean something entirely different in a new environment. Yanapata vitu ni mpya to you, even in terms of those unwritten rules. Can you nadhani ni respect inakuwa either unapata upati or ni tofauti, unaona? So before we explore how to decode these signals, and this is a very important topic, it's actually at the core of what is going to be keeping you in that navigation phase, the frustration phase, the professional vertigo in the grounding series. Please look out for part 1 of this video, because this is part 2 where we are decoding the classroom. We are looking at culture code decoder. We are basically getting you to understand the culture codes in your new environment. And that's very important because it's going to get you out of the navigation phase or the negotiation phase really quick, so you can move very quickly towards that master global educator. But before we explore how to decode these signals, please subscribe to the Edu Elevate Network. We provide tools for educators to navigate global transitions with confidence. If you find this helpful, please feel free to share it with your professional learning community, your friends, fellow teachers in other spaces, and that is highly appreciated. So let's go ahead and get started without wasting much time. So in this scenario, the hardware is compatible, but the software is glitching. It's very this slide is very high tech, like it's themed with a lot of technology jargons and the visuals. Please bear with me if you are not a fan of, all that stuff. So in my first month teaching science in my new international context, I experienced a moment that really made me pause. And back home, a quiet classroom was the gold standard. Like, unaingia daro, unajua watoto wako ready kufanya nini? Kusikiza. It's like the teacher was or is. Let me say was, because that was then. I know a lot has changed even within the African space or the Kenyan space, where unapata we are moving from the 844 system to the CBC system, and the teacher's role is basically evolving to be that of a guide on the side, not a sage on the stage, if you may say. So initially, silence, I thought meant students were drinking from the fountain of knowledge. It was the ultimate sign of respect. Mtoto amekaa pale kukusikiza, amenyamaza ji, asemi neno, amekaa. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Tafadhali type in Swahili. I want to also just use Swahili to be able to, practice with my Swahili, because I don't speak Swahili a lot, and I'm just getting, I'm feeling like speaking it in between, so bear with me. So yeah, that was not the case, because when my new classroom was silent, I initially felt successful. Like we were basically getting with the warm-ups and with the lesson hooks and all of that, where we would have sessions where we think through, voice our ideas, share with the class, and then we would have other sessions uploading later. But as the days went by, I noticed that every day is different, and I noticed that sometimes stares were not of focus, no, but of confusion. I had to learn that in the new soil, silence was often a sign of disengagement, and it was not at all, it had nothing to do with disrespect. Please, teachers, get that right. The culture is that of engagement, talking. It is a talking nation, and that applies in many global classrooms. So, kids are not just in school to be as empty vessels. They walk into the classroom with some knowledge, be it from learned experience, be it from what they read, or what their lived experience as well, or what their parents teach them. They are not empty as we think. World over, a student is not an empty vessel waiting to be filled, and that is the honest truth. So giving them a chance for their brains and their minds, and if you read about how the brain works, the brain stores information in files. I don't want to bore you with all of that, but just quickly, when you give a student a chance to retrieve those files of information that they have, learning becomes more fun and more relatable. So I want to say that it looks somehow like mastering the curriculum, good. Grading software, good. School communication system, good. School policies, you're good. But when it comes to the classroom, you realize that connection failed, unknown protocol, critical error, data transmission interrupted. Oh, there's a problem. It is just a mismatch. So that's one thing where it's just a small glitch right there, if you may say. So you're doing everything by the book but achieving unexpected results. Root cause: incompatibility, or an incompatible cultural operating system. I love that. Wow. It's like you have to realign. It's like you have to format that, if I may use that word, and then input new code, and things will align, like really. Okay? So having that mind change or mindset shift will help a lot. It will help you move towards being a master educator really quickly, because of the space you're operating in. So next we have, before we move on, by the way, on this again, I want to say that I realized that in many global systems, particularly in the West, students show respect through active noise. This includes questioning. They will question, challenging ideas, debating among each other, voicing their concerns. And while every class is different, academic discourse is often highly promoted. Okay? So many times this is students' way of showing they're deeply invested in the lesson, and it's not defiance, it's participation. Have you ever misinterpreted a student's behavior because of a cultural difference? Let's learn from each other. Share your experience in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into global teaching. So yeah, are you using the wrong map? Or are you using an old map? When we move to a new country, the behaviors we often identify as what we used to becomes totally different. Remember this. You're not a bad teacher, you're simply learning to read a new map, okay? So go easy on yourself. Easy on yourself, okay? One thing that's very important is I realized that the visual input, like direct eye contact, meant listening and being present. Direct eye contact, when a student looks you in the eye, they may not really always be that they're defiant. Okay? It may just be a request for connection, not as a sign of disrespect. And I'm not saying there could be cases of that, but I'm just saying keeping that in mind really helps you a lot when it comes to navigating those instances where such things happen. Okay? So we are saying, in the old code, you could interpret noise and debate as disrespect, but it is investment, it is participation. Time management is a thing, that means reliability, and direct contact means attention, not defiance. So managing this shift is part of becoming a more versatile educator, what we call being a master global educator. You're not staying too long in the negotiation phase. Alright? So when we're talking about digital punctuality, what really this means in this slide is the concept of time. In many cultures, arriving on time is flexible and centered around the relationship and all that. And I'm not saying that punctuality is not a thing within some cultures. It is. However, in many global settings, time is viewed through a rigid and digital lens. Punctuality is tied to professional reliability. For some people, it takes time to adjust. Building a routine around that digital clock eventually becomes a natural part of your professional rhythm. You just know when you're supposed to be in a meeting, you get there. When you're supposed to be in school and leaving school, time, that professional rhythm, that clock, it just comes naturally with time. So it's simply a different way of organizing the day. You just adjust. Okay? Yeah. So, if you know a teacher who is about to start their first teaching experience, share this video with them. It might just be the map they need. And thank you as you do so. So remember, from frustration to empathy, that is a very important shift. Remember, frustration is the profession of a tiger, where we said the cycles of culture shock the faces. That negotiation phase or frustration phase, some teachers stay there too long and they end up really being, it even ends up affecting their health. So you want to make sure that you know what you're really doing. So learning to decode these gestures helps us react with empathy rather than frustration. When we react with empathy, it creates a positive classroom climate, which is important for thriving in global classrooms. When you understand the signals, the behavior no longer feels personal. And never be personal in any situation. If you want to move to that master global educator, by the way, nothing is personal. So you realize that the students are simply playing by the rules of their culture. So it is your role to learn those cultures, because every environment has its own frequency and it takes time to tune your ears to it. So give yourself some grace and learn as fast as you can, as much as you can, depending on your environment. And once you do your rebooting, then you're ready. The goal isn't to lose your heritage or your style, but to add new tools to your professional toolkit. You're not a bad teacher. You're just expanding your operating system. Your old map is valid. This new map is valid. Your old map was valid. This new map is valid too. Now you can navigate both. Now you're ready. And this is just a teeny tiny part of it, but it's one that's major too. So, if you are feeling overwhelmed by these differences, I want to tell you, you are not a bad teacher. Thank you for joining us today in the Edu Elevate Network, where we grow and learn together. And the goal is to get to that master global educator as quick and as fast as possible so you can thrive within your classrooms. Please hit the like button if you have helped clarify some of this and written if this video has helped clarify some of these unwritten rules for you. Alright? If you have subscribed to the channel, thank you. I'm Teacher Angie, and I'll see you in the next session. Keep observing, keep learning,